This next segment sponsored by Grand Prix Motorsports. It is your place to go for today? Indian motorcycles, the first motorcycles ever. We'll tell you more about Grand Prix Motorsports in just a second. Let's talk Tom Brady's legacy.
Let's do it.
Let's talk Tom Brady's legacy if he admits to it, and let's talk Tom Brady's legacy if he doesn't admit to it. How are we to look at his wonderful career, his 4 Super Bowl wins, his 6 trips to the Super Bowl, AFC East titles left and right? How do we look at Tom Brady?
Well, Woody used the word earlier in reference to the Wells report, the idea of a footnote. I hate to say it, whether we might agree with it or not, the reality is that he's going to go in the Hall of Fame, and it'll just be a footnote in his career that, yes, in 2014, he did something, got suspended for 3 games because of it in 15. I think the fans are forgiving. I think that his legacy will be the Super Bowls, his 4 Super Bowl wins. He made 6 of them. Shoot, he might make another one this year. And we can never say Tom Brady without saying Deflategate, but I don't think, pun intended, the weight of Deflategate will be that strong in years from now.
I tend to agree with that you'll look back on his career and it'll be an asterisk.
Yeah,
will be that he did that. Because we don't know, because he played the second half better than he played the first half of the game against the Colts with balls that were inflated properly.
And in the Super Bowl, Woody, in the Super Bowl, he threw 75% against the best defense.
Sure. I still consider him, at this moment, the best quarterback in the history of the National Football League. But there's such a hatred about the Patriots.
Right.
If you take the fans and did another poll, the Patriots are today's Cowboys. Today's people hate the Raiders.
Well, it's much like Barry Bonds. They loved him in the Bay Area for the excitement he brought, but outside the Bay Area, he was
a villain.
Terribly disliked.
I think we'd all agree that New England's the most hated team in pro football.
Sure.
But going back to the Super Bowl, I'd like to bring this up. The Southern Cal Trojans had a great running back, won the Heisman Trophy. They actually did go back and take away their victories, take away their national championship, took away
Reggie
his
Bush.
Heisman
You're
Trophy.
talking about Reggie Bush.
I'm sure that's not going to happen in this case, but when you say, oh, they would never do that, well, it's been done within the framework of sports where people have had to abdicate Jim Boeheim and Syracuse.
But let's be honest, though, Woody, and that's a great point. But
let's always be honest.
Let's be honest for a change. Let's be honest right now.
Well, let's just establish that we're honest all the time.
We're honest all the time. So when I say that, it's just a phrase.
Yeah.
Let's be honest here.
No question about it.
We still
big tight end.
We talk about the Fab Five in Michigan. They have the banners taken down. They took away their Final Four in those wins. We always will remember the Fab Five as going to the national championship as freshman and sophomore, whether it happened or not, whether it was legal or not. Same with Reggie Bush. He'll always be a Heisman winner.
What do you remember about that team?
Well, do you want me to? I can name the starting lineup.
No.
Cotter.
What do we remember about the team? I remember only one thing about that team.
The timeout?
Called the timeout.
Yeah.
When you had none.
But when was the timeout called? In the national championship game. They obviously made it to the national championship game. Point being, as time goes by, we remember one thing, 2 things. We're always going to remember Reggie Bush winning the Heisman, even if we're supposed to
I agree with that.
Not believe he's the Heisman Trophy winner anymore.
Sure. We can't just inject something and say, there.
Take him off the list.
Who won the Heisman Trophy that year? I don't know.
Yeah, so they could.
I still have a problem with the magnitude of what Tom Brady did
from the very beginning.
From the very beginning, I thought the whole thing was overblown.
Well, guess what?
I understand.
You're happy.
I understand.
We're over now.
I understand he circumvented the rules, but I tend to think when we look back and we're going to say, oh, he took a little air out of the football and he won a few more games.
Right.
I mean, seriously.
But then we think about how much.
I'm not up at night thinking about this.
Yeah,
right?
but I mean,
I just don't think it's that bad.
To play devil's advocate for fun, just for 30 seconds here. Woody made reference to one play of a famous game, a timeout, right, that affected the course of the game.
Yeah.
You kind of, in a fun way, casually said, oh, the deflated balls helped them win a few games. Well, goodness gracious, those few games got them into the playoffs and got them to, if they hadn't won those few games, maybe they don't even make the playoffs. Again, I'm just playing devil's advocate.
Well, let me play it with you. Let me be your assistant devil's advocate. What if they've been doing it for 5 or 6, 7 years?
Oh, I think they've been doing it longer than that.
And they won 4 Super Bowls.
Right.
They went to 2 others. So a few games might have affected 6 Super Bowls.
But it comes back to the point I made earlier that since it's not quantifiable, we can't say, oh, he hit 55 home runs last year and 70 this year. since we can't, like you said, we can't point the finger of which play Sean Merriman made was aided by PEDs. We can't say, oh, that pass would have been incomplete.
We're not taking away Gaylord Perry's 300 wins either in Major League Baseball for throwing the spitter all those years.
Right.
And the big stuff was brought to you by Grand Prix Motorsports, your source for the original motorcycle, Indian motorcycles. So check out the newest line of Indian motorcycles at Grand Prix Motorsports. They're located on County Line and
Santa Fe!
And this is Big Mike on one of those Indian motorcycles that he got from Grand Prix. That's a beautiful looking motorcycle.
That is Rob Ryan, I'm sure.
I like his shades. Little Top Gun shades.